welcome. I want to get welcome to the Gump report. Oh my goodness, I made my autofocus. I made my autofocus go out of whack. Welcome to the Gump report. You never know what you're gonna get. And here's my video on Tommy Deamer and his indefinite suspension. Now, guys, I'm gonna make this clear. I was reluctant to make this video because, as anyone knows me who have seen my channel, I don't go by the norm. I always see things in a much more different perspective. Yes, there's some I identify with and I agree with, but you guys know me. I don't follow the norm. I follow my own norm. So when it comes to the dark side of the ring and the airplane ride from hell, we get the flight attendant's version of what happened. We've heard what happened when it came to Jim Ross talking about it to a certain extent. When it came to the wrestlers themselves, what happened. There is no lying. There are several perspectives, and I've told you over and over again, there's always more to what's going on. And what happened with the interviews they did, particularly with Tommy, he was in a no-win situation. Let's put it in a very clear perspective, guys. Tommy Deamer is my age. He's been doing this for nearly 30 years. And he's well known across all gambits of pro wrestling. He's been in most of the promotions that are most relevant. WWE, Impact Wrestling, now not AEW. He started his own promotion of hardcore, House of Hardcore. He's been in most of the major promotions that have been going on for nearly 30 years. And the key here, working in the back, is where this is about. Not being a wrestler in front of people. This is about working in the back, guys. There is a stark difference from a wrestler who works that you watch in the arenas on TV compared to those who are transitioned into the back. That is a completely different animal. You got wrestlers who are going to politic and do whatever the hell they want or what they can do for the company publicly as a wrestler. And then you have the others who are either part wrestler and part workers in the back or have transitioned completely in the back. And that with Tommy is somewhere in between. He still wrestles to a certain extent, but he also works in the back. And let's make this very clear. Tommy did the interview and he was in a no-win situation. Let's be honest here. This is a no-win situation, and I'm going to make this clear to you. It makes you think, at this moment you're thinking, oh, you're trying to save Tommy's ass. No. I'm telling you the truth. Tommy's in a no-win situation no matter what he did. He made the biggest mistake by agreeing to do that documentary. And when he did, he was in a no-win situation. Period. This isn't like what Just Alex said. He said you should have just kept your mouth shut. I'm sure the Slug Guy is going to say something. I don't think JD has said anything yet about the dark side of the ring, except during his long off the script broadcast, talking about getting himself in trouble, and that's about Tommy. But what this really comes down to is this, guys. Tommy wanted to speak on this situation. He wanted to give it light by his perspective, and he got himself in a no-win situation. No matter if he agreed or disagreed with what happened. He was screwed, period, because the people in the back will not be too fond of what he's done. And then if he tries to defend, which he did for a Ric Flair, he got himself screwed over even worse, and now is suspended indefinitely. Now, what do I think about the situation itself, about the documentary? It was well done. You got a chance to see the flight attendants and what I want to make this very clear. She didn't get raped. Let's make this very clear. And even she said this herself in the documentary. She didn't believe Ric Flair was trying to rape her. But he violated her in a way that was permanently changing herself. So I've heard people say you should be ashamed of yourself. You're trying to rape a woman. They don't know what they're saying. There are others who have seen it and understand there was no rape involved. He wasn't trying to rape her. She even said it herself in the documentary. She didn't believe Ric Flair was raping her. But Rick was screwed up. He was drunk. He was drugged up. And he was acting like a fucking fool. Period. Doesn't at all denounce what he's done. And what Tommy tried to do, saying that this was another time. You must understand it. And understand, I'm 50 myself. And things that have been done over 40 years ago are not done anymore. Some things are better 40 years ago compared to here. I'm just saying, not in this situation, but just in general. Certain attitudes that happened 40 years ago or 50 years ago or 30 years ago in certain aspects are actually better than where they are now because people are oversensitive and they don't want to hear the truth. The only thing they want to hear is their own damn mouth speaking like I'm doing right now. Many people want to do the Salem witch hunts all over again. And if you don't know what the Salem witch hunts were, in 1690s, in Salem, Massachusetts, people could be brought in front of the council of the entire town or village in the United States, because they had villages and towns back then, and they will be put to pretty much to death because of hearsay. Now, this is not hearsay. This entire situation with the plane ride from hell is not hearsay. We know it happened. Vince was there, and instead of taking full responsibility for it, he threw it onto Jim Ross, who was also in a no-win situation. He wanted to try and help people, and he ended up making himself look bad. Period. For most of his time in WWE for what had happened. There's no lie about that. We know this because he got fired twice from the damn company, not because of his own situation, but because of how Vince runs the damn company. I'm not condoning what happened in the airplane ride for hell. Hell no, I'm not. It was bad back then, it's still now. But you need to understand the point of view of how pro wrestling is now. You still, listen to me, you still have a good chunk of how pro wrestling is run with the people who came up between 20 and 30 years ago. Many of them understand how the business has changed, but others refuse or do not want to understand the business has changed. That's the reason why what happened last year, and many women and a few men, there were some men who also came out, but it was extremely small and it was not even cared about. That's the truth. That is the damn truth. There were a few women, not a few men, there were a few men who were harassed and treated badly by women. No, they couldn't do anything. And there were a ton of women, either they were harassed, abused, and some even said raped. We're not saying if those things are true or not. They want them to be true, they got to go to court and sue the damn person. This is what it comes down to. Everyone doesn't want to hear the truth. They want to hear what comes out of their damn mouth. What's going on right now, it's not showing again. But after this, you never know, there's going to be more people, females that may come out again. There's a good possibility, because of what happened with Ric Flair, that he's now no longer being shown by Car Shield. Because he was being seen by Car Shield, but after this incident, done. He's not going to be seen by Car Shield right now. Until either they believe that he's alright, or they're just done with him, and he no longer has that, because simply put, his credibility has been shot because of the airplane ride from hell. Flat out, that's the truth. If he had any credibility with Car Shield, after this documentary has basically screwed him, because no one's saying that the court appearances and the trial they tried to go to trial, but it was settled out of court. That was in the documentary. The lady settled out of court because her husband wanted this to just be ended because he didn't want to see her get tormented anymore. It doesn't make a difference. Car Shield ain't going to deal with him right now. Either he's done completely, or they're going to leave him off for a while. Maybe they'll still pay him. I don't know. But here's the thing for this. This is what I'm saying. I'm not condoning what the Ric Flair did. what he did to her or any other woman that was on that flight. I'm not. I'm not condoning anything else that happened on that flight. I'm not. No one's saying, and even Tommy himself was not trying to condone what happened. But like I said in the very opening of this video, he was in a no-win situation when he decided to talk on the situation. There was nothing he could do. Nothing. He made the choice to speak on this the best he thought he could. He wanted to admit what was going on, but he wanted to defend the people not only that he admires, but also who's still in the damn industry in some form or fashion influentially. In other words, Ric Flair still has some influence in the wrestling business. We know this. He may not be working in the back in any promotion right now, but he still has some level of influence. We know this. Period. And I'm going to make it clear again. The woman in the documentary never said he tried to rape her. She never believed that. She just believed that the way he was acting was highly inappropriate and it scarred her. Flat out. But she never believed he was going to rape her. He didn't. And the way he was acting, he probably was totally drugged out and drunk and acted like a fucking fool, getting her to try and grab his dick. Okay? Now, understanding this, what does this mean when it comes to the dark side of the ring and how people can perceive it? Honestly, after this, I think dark side of the ring is going to have a little more problems trying to get more people to keep doing this because, yes, there's going to be a lot of people going to talk about it, but there's going to be some that's going to be very nervous. Because like I said earlier, there's still some that are from 20 and 30 years ago that are still in this business. That if they didn't do anything, not saying they did or didn't, there may be some guys or some girls that were doing whatever they wanted to do to get ahead or to get whatever they wanted. To fuck women, that's the guys or women, or the women trying to get guys in trouble. Because dark side of the ring could also cover protecting men as well. Because there have been some women in the business who have fucked over men, good men. Remember last year, how many women came out stating that men were harassing them or trying to sexually assault them or try to rape them, and it was found out some of them never went to court. Look at Alberto Del Rio. I did a video on him. Now understand, I'm not condoning anything he did with Paige. If he abused Paige, it's going to happen again with somebody else. And he will pay for it sooner or later. Period. But a woman trying to get him screwed over, trying to destroy his life, went to court. He went to court and proved his innocence. But he had to go through hell to do it. Look at the Velveteen Dream. Sooner or later, Velveteen Dream, if he's innocent, must go to court and prove what's going on because cancel culture is real. Cancel culture will keep you from doing anything. Look at Tommy. He is indefinitely suspended because of simply speaking. Not because he 100% condoned. And remember, if you heard what he said, he was trying to make it clear, and he screwed up badly, that what happened back then was not right, but that's how it was working. And I don't condone it now, but it didn't make a difference. Like I said, there was a no-win scenario by him going on to the documentary, speaking and trying to balance it out. It didn't work. He's indefinitely suspended for Impact Wrestling. And the question is going to be, where does this leave him? He still has, I think his promotion, House of Hardcore, still exists. But could he go back to WWE now? Probably not. Not just because he's worked in Impact Wrestling, but the point is, he's been suspended from Impact Wrestling. That might bring ripples for him to go to MLW, AEW, NWA. Maybe nobody wants to touch him because many people are mad at him for what he did, and they spoke on Twitter even though he apologized. People don't care. They'll still cancel your ass and make sure you don't work again in the damn... There's a good chance Tommy, he might be mostly done with wrestling for a while. It could take him a year before he might be able to get back into wrestling, depending on how badly canceled he is. Because he's just suspended from Impact. But the question is now, this ripple effect from the dark side of the ring, how would this mess him up? He still has his own promotion that he could try and work on, but working anywhere else, that's if House of Hardcore still exists. Will anybody even want to work at House of Hardcore because of him doing what he did and getting this bad look because he wanted to defend Ric Flair by saying, yes, Rick screwed up back then, but that was a different time period. He's not that way. And I'm not saying Rick is a good guy. Okay? Get this. I'm not condoning Ric Flair or anyone else for what they did over 30 years ago. I'm not. 20 or 30 years ago, I'm not condoning anyone for what they've done. But what I am going to tell you is this, that when you look at this objectively, no matter what, if you're honest about trying to say how bad things are or not, or try to find a balance, you're screwed. And there are a lot of people that want this business to change heavily because kayfabe is still a thing. There's still many people who still follow kayfabe that are my age and a bit younger. The younger wrestlers, no. To a certain extent, they won't unless they're trained by someone older in the business. But they also understand, even if they weren't trained, there's certain things you do not talk about that are from wrestling. If you want to try and change wrestling like that, it's going to be one big mess. And that's just in the United States. Guys, understand this. Pro wrestling generally started in the United States. Yeah, the UK had their own version, but the general promotions really started here in the 30s. It basically began here and spread everywhere else. Now, will things be different in other countries? Because this is where people don't understand. Where they say everything about pro wrestling needs to be cleaned up. Well, you're forgetting about Europe. You're forgetting about Asia. You're forgetting about Africa, if they have any general wrestling there. You're forgetting about Mexico. Mexico has been around for more than 70 years with their wrestling. And they have ingrained how pro wrestling works with a lot of the traditions of the Maya and Inca type of things. Why do you think they wear the mask? Do you actually think that you're going to get a change like this in Mexico? They may talk about it to a certain extent, but Mexican tradition, when it comes to like wrestling, is not just protected, it's almost like a damn religion. You need to understand how things really work. Now, what does this video actually mean? Because it sounds like I'm trying to condone Ric Flair what he did. No. I'm trying to give you the perspective of what happened with Tommy. Wanting to do the right thing. He wanted to talk about how bad things were. But he made the choice to try and make a balance between saying how bad things were back then and it shouldn't be like now, and saying that that was a different time period and people had a different mindset and you shouldn't be 100% harsh on them, particularly that they changed their attitude. We know a lot of people have changed how they've acted. A lot of people have. Ric Flair, there you go. He's not the same person he was, not just because he's older, but because he learned something. Hulk Hogan, he also changed a lot. Look what happened with Macho Man Randy Savage before he died. He changed a lot. A lot of people changed the personality. Shawn Michaels is a good example. Not saying Shawn Michaels won't still backstab you, but he learned something from the time when he was in wrestling, messed up his back, went through drugs, went away for a while, and then got God and came back. Some people actually do turn around. Ted DiBiase, you would think would be nothing but garbage, but he's a minister. Not saying he's one of the greatest, I don't know, but wrestlers back then have gone from being really nasty and changed over time because they learned the lessons that that lifestyle is not one of the best. That's what Tommy was trying to say, but there was no way he's going to say it right because there is no way to say it right. Guys, he was in a no-win situation. He should have just never taken on doing the interview. But he really wanted to be honest because we know Tommy Dreamer is not a bad guy. He wants to be honest about things, but he still wants to protect the people in the companies that are there, but then try to make some balance, which didn't work. It did not work. And it's not going to work for anyone else who's going to do what Tommy did. Let's be honest here. Anyone else who does exactly what Tommy does after this episode of Dark Side of the Ring, if they try the same thing, they're going to be buried. They're going to be fucked. Because there is no way on this green earth people are going to care about, well, this is how horrible, you're right, it's horrible, but that was another time, and these people are not like they are now. See them for who they are now. It's not going to work. Like I said earlier, people are very sensitive now. Not because they are little babies. Some people are. But it's because they're tired of hiding things and the lies. They're so tired of it. But then here's the thing. When it comes to wanting this, guys, I'm saying this as a wrestling fan who is 50 years old, who had to take a gap of 11 years, even though he was still watching on and off every couple of weeks to maybe a month, still watching wrestling. He's been watching wrestling since he's been maybe 7 years old. 6 or 7. The farthest back I can remember is Bob Backlund. And maybe say, who else did I remember seeing? I think I saw a little bit of Superstar Billy Graham. Definitely saw about Backlund. But the point is, I've seen wrestling. And the key of this entire situation right now is that people right now are extremely sensitive. They don't care if you're telling the truth or not. Just put it out there and they will eat it alive. Just like the Salem witch hunts. If you look it up, it wasn't about if the person really was evil or a witch or a warlock or a part of the devil. It was that these people wanted to say whatever they wanted because not only did they believe, some of them believed they were right, but many of them just wanted to just have credibility, have street cred back then, wanted to be popular, wanted to show that they can be a leader of their community and say whatever the hell they wanted. This is what we got right now. The only thing is that in Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, when you do this, you're not 100% popular by just a few people in your village, or town. It's millions of people that can watch it, or thousands, or tens of thousands. There's your difference. And I hope you enjoyed this Gump report. I know probably people are not going to like what I'm going to say. They're going to probably say, dude, you're trying to defend Ric Flair and Tommy. Not trying to defend anyone. I'm just trying to tell you what their perspective was. And like I said, what happened back then was wrong. What Rick did was wrong. Being freaking naked on the damn plane, wearing his damn robe, walking up to this woman, probably half drunk and drugged out of his mind, telling her, come on, baby, grab my dick. You'll love it. You'll love Space Mountain. That was wrong. And no matter how good Rick is now, not just because he's an old man and he got a shrivel up dick, is a good chance that he learned something from those years because he lost his son, he lost his first wife, his second wife, his third wife. I think he went up to 4. I don't remember how many wives he has. Up to 4 wives. And the idiot finally learned something next to drinking his ass off and almost dying when he went to the hospital because of his heart. It's a good chance he finally learned something. But it doesn't condone what he did in the past. It doesn't. He's still a damn good legend of what he did in pro wrestling. What he did behind the scenes is bullshit. And he shouldn't be condoned for that. But we still remember him because of what he devoted to wrestling. That is what we remember. That is what Tommy did. He remembered that he devoted everything to pro wrestling. He gave up his first, second, third, and I think his 4th wife. He gave up being around his kids. He lost his son because of wrestling, because he was brought into it when he should have kept him out of it. This is what you get from a guy who put everything into his passion. But this is just me. Tell me if you like this. Tell me if you don't like it. I'm sure someone's going to say you're nothing but bullshit. You don't understand. He deserves to be hung by his dick. That's Ric Flair. And Tommy Dreamer never deserves to be back in wrestling again. That's what other people would say. Peace.